Good morning, everyone. Jim Laird here live from Largo, Florida. It's a beautiful day here today. I mean, unbelievably beautiful. And so make sure you get on our email list for this week. We're doing a Thursday webinar. I believe it's on mind-body medicine and how that relates to blood pressure, which will be very, very interesting. And you'll be getting that link tonight in the email we're sending out, so that you can sign up for that. You'll be also getting that on Wednesday. Just go over to stillmanwellness.com. The pop-up comes up. Get on the email list. You'll get a couple days of sequence promoting our fundamentals of wellness course. Then after that, you'll get three emails a week. We try not to blow your inbox up too much. But, we do have to let you know what's going on. And it's also good because just in case, we end up getting pulled off of here, you'll be able to find us. That could happen. I was actually speaking at a seminar this past weekend where many of the people there have been taken off the social media. Also, if you check the link below, Dr. Stillman's doing a webinar on minerals with Clark Engelbert this weekend on Saturday. That'll be live here on YouTube. You'll be able to you can click the link and hit the reminder. You'll be taken to that. Make sure you tune into that. So I was at Jay Campbell's seminar this past weekend. It was really interesting. That is the most time I've spent inside in probably 3 years. And I can tell you the difference that I felt by spending 2 days indoors was absolutely nuts. And I shared my story. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, everyone.
I shared my story. Oh, yeah. I don't have my headphones. I probably need my headphones.
Why do you need your headphones?
I shared my story of why I take being outside
so seriously.
And the reason I do that, I'll give you the brief story. In 2018, I was dating a young lady, and she was not very happy with my feet. And she was like, "Well, you need to get a pedicure, and we're gonna cut off all extracurricularly missing we're going to tell you what most people are missing. That's why you're clicked here, right? So
we're getting to it.
Yeah, we're getting to you. Somebody put what people are missing in the title. No, we want you to click on it. That's why we're here. That's awesome. But needless to say, this young lady was like, "You need to get a pedicure." So I said, "Okay." Well, 7 days later, I'm in the hospital preparing to have my right leg amputated. I had got a staph infection. Well, they didn't know it was staph at the time. They thought it might be MRSA. So I was preparing to get my right leg amputated, and it's really funny because they tried to give me a flu thingy while they were trying to amputate my right leg, which I refused. That was a really interesting argument. But all things aside, they were able to get it under control. Obviously, I still have a right leg, and they said that this adventure is going to continue because you're going to have reoccurring infections, and there's nothing you can really do about it. And I said, "Okay, what does that look like?" Well, basically, it's like full body. It's not going to be isolated in the leg, and you basically get you feel like you got the flu, but no respiratory symptoms. You run this really high fever, and so for the next year or two, I was having 2 to 3 episodes of like super high fever, going septic. And every time I'd go in, I'd get antibiotics. I'd have to, rush to the ER. They had me on a list, so I'd get, pushed in there quickly. And I was running out of options. And then I ran into Dr. Jack Cruz, a very controversial figure at Paleo FX. I think I met him. He pissed everybody off because he told them they couldn't eat a banana in December. And I was like, this sounds like a really interesting guy to talk to. So I got to know him, and he was like, "Man, so tell me about what you do." And I said, "Well, I'm a strength coach, and I get up at 5 a.m, and I coach people till 8 o'clock at night." He's like, "When's the last time you saw the sun?" And I was like, "Well, I wear sunglasses." And so he was like, "You do realize the sun runs all your hormones, your immune system, your digestion, everything is run by the sun, right?" So I immediately canceled all my morning classes because I was desperate. I was getting to the point where vancomycin wasn't working, right? That's not a good place to be. And so I canceled all my morning sessions, pissed a lot of people off, started getting outside, And literally I had one little hiccup here a couple months ago that we were able to take care of really, really easily. But I was having 2 to 3 of these episodes a year. We're talking like 104, 105 fever. Like this wasn't like, playtime stuff. This was serious stuff. And since I started taking, I literally changed my life, sold my gym. I literally spend my entire life outside. And the difference is unbelievable. And Jay's seminar is great. And they do a lot of really cool stuff. And I'm all about tools. Like, Dr. Stillman will tell you, I'm all about using tools. But most people don't really understand the gravity of spending 97% of your day inside. And it goes way, way, way beyond vitamin D.
That's right.
A lot of people that are doing a lot of these things, peptides, whatever, great, go for it. But they would work so much better if you, and you might not use as many of them if you consciously decided to live a more outdoor lifestyle. And I know a lot of people can't do that, but at least if they tried and mitigated a lot of the indoor lights, because I've done tons of testing on myself with taking my blood sugar under fake light versus sunlight, with meals, with fasting, and your blood sugar is dramatically higher when you're under fake lights. So there's my little spiel. And Dr. Stillman stepped out of the picture for a while, but it was really fun. And then we got into like movement variability and strategy, and I kind of split some heads a little bit on that. I really enjoy when I go to these seminars, talking to people and kind of challenging the narrative and getting them to think in a little different way. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of great information. But it's always fun to be able to share that personal experience of what a difference living outdoors. And that's why, our retreat in Nicaragua in January, most of it's going to be outside, except maybe in the hottest part of the day. I'm building a gym on the beach outside, and I want to live, one of the reasons I'm moving to Nicaragua is because I want to live the rest of my life outdoors. Your turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And I mean, I don't know if you mentioned this yet, but the punchline of the title is most people are missing how important the sun is.
Yeah.
And, they all hear about sunlight, vitamin D, whatever. And then they'll hear about the circadian rhythms and sleep and all of that, I think, understates how important it is. They just don't realize, because I think that people, for whatever reason, they want to see how it applies to them. So they're waiting to hear like say they have Parkinson's. They're waiting for the study that shows that, getting more sunlight reduces their risk of Parkinson's. And they're not focused on, just getting more sunlight makes you healthier. And this is one of the big mistakes people make that we talk to them about is you cannot focus on your illness. You have to focus on your wellness. And when Jim was dealing with spontaneous sepsis over and over again, he didn't get out of that situation by focusing on the illness. He could have easily gone the route of, I'm going to look up all the different herbs and supplements and this and that are antibacterial and anti this and anti that, or that boost my immune system. And he could have cycled those on and off and taken them in these big stacks and made these crazy drinks and powders and, whatever. And he could have done all that. We see so many people doing that, particularly in the chronic Lyme world. And that can get people some results for some time. It can really help people. But over and over again, we see that kind of thinking doesn't lead to good overall long-term health.
Yeah. And especially if your fundamentals of health are not there. Right.
And that's what I'm talking about, right? Is this idea that you have to focus on your wellness. What does that mean? It means looking at the things that fundamentally make you healthy, right? Without which good health invariably disappears. That's why when they did the melanoma in southern Sweden study and they looked at the effects of an indoor lifestyle on health, they were not expecting to see such a dramatic benefit to spending time outside. But they sure enough saw that the people who got the most sun exposure dropped their risk of death as much as quitting smoking drops their risk of death.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I will often lead with people who are skeptical of this is I just say, look, an indoor lifestyle is a risk factor for death equivalent to smoking. Heavily, not smoking like 1 or 2 cigarettes a day. We're talking about smoking hard. And that's specifically in the study, the people who smoked the most but had the most time outside had the same overall risk of death as the people who didn't smoke but spent most of their time, or the most time, I should say, indoors.
Which equals sun exposure cancels out smoking.
Yeah, exactly.
which
I
is
mean,
pretty
it's
crazy.
remarkable how powerful that is.
And then that makes a lot of sense. These cowboys that like live an outdoor lifestyle and smoke their Marlboros, they're
Yeah, I mean,
doing
you look at
manual
some
labor
of
all day.
right, and some of that has to do with moderation too. I mean,
Sure.
because and this is another thing that people really, I think, struggle with is the moderation piece because they think more is better. And that's why we have this epidemic of, over exercising, people who are fitness junkies, over dieting, extreme calorie restriction, extreme elimination diets, just everything is particularly with the people we work with, they tend to take things to such extremes.
Well, that goes for like I was talking to a guy, this gentleman who's he's 80, almost 80 years old, and he's a very very prominent plastic surgeon, and he was at the seminar yesterday.
Oh, really? Cool.
And yeah, like this guy is like
He's 80 and is
the
he still
guy in
operating?
plastic surgery. Pardon me.
He's still operating?
Yeah,
That's
at
pretty
79
amazing.
years of age. But he's like, I can't relax. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're type A, but tell me what. So he goes, what should I be taking? I said, tell me what you're on right now.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I'm on TRT. And I said, good for you, dude. If I was 79 years old, I'd be on TRT too. And I am on TRT, but I would continue. But
Mhm.
I said, so okay, how much are you taking? Well, he's like, I'm taking 20 units. Like once, twice a week. He's like, no, every day, which is like, and one of the other docs was standing next to me, one of the guys that specialize in TRT, and I'm like, dude, like you're taking like the standard TLT dose for like a 40-year-old dude. You're almost 80, and no
Mhm.
wonder you can't relax. And the other guy pipes up, he goes, yeah, dude. He's like, you need to cut that dose. He needs you to cut that dose way down. He's like, you're taking way too much. That's why you can't chill.
Yeah.
So he was, he's like, well, I've got to, I want to be on more stuff. And I was like, no, dude, like a little, a little goes a long way. And
Yeah,
we see that
more
we've had a number of guys in the coaching program that were on, excessive, almost super physiological TRT dosages, and they just couldn't relax.
I
So,
know. See it all the time.
yeah,
And I think a lot of people, they get stuck in that more is better. It must be a deficiency, not an excess state of mind, right? And then we'll often clue them into the things that are actually making them sick. I mean, the part of that indoor lifestyle thing, and this is part of why it's so powerful, right? Is that when you're outside, you're less likely to be on a device. When you're outside, you're more likely to be attuned to nature. When you're outside, you're more likely to be exercising. When you're outside, you're more likely to be interacting with other people. The prototypical, I mean, the real epidemics our culture is suffering from are epidemics that are born out of people being alone indoors on wireless technology that's baking their eyes in fake light, that's fundamentally imbalanced and unnatural and relative in relation to the spectral signature of sunlight. It's creating, I mean, I believe, and I think the literature is abundantly there to support this. I believe it's contributing to, if not the leading cause of all the mental illness that we're seeing. I think it's related to the increasing rates of cancer. I think it's related to the continued terrible rates and risk of heart disease. The sad thing is that a lot of the diseases that we've seen, over the last 100 years sort of come and go. And I don't want to say come and go, but I mean, they are changing in terms of their frequency, but um, we should have seen public health continue to improve over the last 50 or 60 years, and we really haven't.
yeah.
There's some things that have gotten better, yes, but many things have gotten worse.
Well, look at blood pressure rates around the world. Like India
Well,
is a prime example
the
of
example
this.
I was going to mention is, we got people to quit smoking.
Hmm.
We got them to quit smoking en masse here in America. We should have seen a massive drop in heart disease, cancer,
Yep.
um, and basically premature death from those two things. And that's not to mention stroke and all kinds of other things that have to do with smoking.
Right.
But we didn't, because basically we traded, like I was saying before, the risk factor of, you know, being indoors, or rather, I should say, smoking for being indoors. And that's
Yeah.
sad. That was a
Yeah.
big failure of, the experts out there.
And
That's
you
part of why
look at
you and I
like
weren't shocked to see the experts fail so catastrophically in the last 3 years.
you look at certain areas of India that have become like the new Silicon Valley,
Mhm.
and their diet really hasn't changed much, and
Mm.
they were healthy for for hundreds of years, and then all of a sudden they're going indoors, they're getting tech jobs instead of being outside. And blood pressure, like they have some of the highest rates of diabetes in the world now, which 30 years ago they didn't.
Right.
So things don't change that quickly, and so I think it's a big part of things that people are missing in a big way. And it's so simple, it's so obvious, it's right there. I always use the analogy: if the plant isn't thriving, do you blame the plant or do you blame the environment the plant is in?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Same with animals. You put there's in my link tree on my Instagram, which is, I'm still in Instagram jail, by the way. Go over and say hi to me. You'll get a nice little disclaimer when you follow me that I share all sorts of untruths. But there's an article in my link tree. It's called Animal Madness, and it talks about what happens to animals when they're taken from their wild natural environment, put in a zoo. They anti-anxiety medication, they can't reproduce. I mean, it's everything we're seeing now. And these HRT docs were saying they're getting 15, 16-year-old men, boys with like testosterone levels below 100.
It's bad. It's really bad.
And what's going to happen to these boys? If they make it to 20 or 30 years of age, having your endocrine, all your hormones suppressed in puberty, what is that going to do to you developmentally down the road? But Jay also pointed out too, he's like, the worst thing you could probably do for your health is sit in your Tesla while it's charging. And he's like the meter. He's like, you're literally, he says, if you own a Tesla, he made fun of Tesla people, because he's like, you're basically destroying the environment faster than if you just drove a car. But he's like, if you really want to destroy your health, it's literally like being in a microwave. He's like, if you're charging your Tesla, you need like a Faraday cage in your garage for it.
Yeah.
So he's like, if you're sitting in your Tesla at Whole Foods scrolling through your phone, he's like, you might as well just crawl into your microwave in the kitchen and turn it on.
Yeah.
No, you're so right. Children, Starlet says, children do not look healthy anymore. It was really interesting. I got to spend time with Charles Mayfield last week, and his kids literally live outside, and they're just a different species of human. I mean, they're climbing the trees and jumping on trampolines, and they never stopped moving the whole time I was there. It was so nice to see. And you go to like the Walmart and you look at these kids, they look like a different species of human. It's really, really, really sad. It's really sad.
I got to run, Jim.
Okay. We both got to run. We have an in-person visit, Doctor.
We do. So take care.
Everyone have a great day.
Watching. Jim, what are we up to this week and this month that people should know about?
Yeah, I told them at the beginning, but I will sum it up again. We've got our Mind Body Medicine blood pressure deal, which we'll be emailing out tonight.
So you better be on our list, stillmanwellness.com.
You got to get on our list. And then you've got your minerals webinar with Clark. I put a link in the description, and you can basically click on that and hit the notification. If you're watching this after, you'll be actually watch the webinar that Clark and Dr. Stillman are doing on minerals. And that's about it. Great. Thanks everyone for the comments. Really appreciate it.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Get outside.